Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel where I talk about vinyl records. If you watched the last episode, it was all about punk rock records. If you haven't seen it yet, you can watch it right here. And thinking back on it, there was an awful lot. I've got a lot of punk rock records in the collection. There were a bunch I didn't get to, and it's just a shame to leave them off of the last video, but I try to keep the videos under 10 minutes long, so a lot I had to leave out. So today it's going to be part 2 of the punk rock records so that we can get to some of the ones that we missed last week. So we'll get right to it. First off, the Suicide Machines. Destruction by Definition is the name of this album, I think. And great punk band. A little bit of ska in there. The song "New Girls," the first track on here, it was in the Tony Hawk Pro Skater game. And that got him quite a bit of popularity. It's a great song, but the Van songs on here, and just a lot of great songs on here. Pretty much this whole album's good. If you like a little bit of ska with your punk, it's sort of like a Operation Ivy kind of thing. This band's great. Up next, a band I felt dumb for leaving out of last week's episode, but you know, when you got so many records, things get overlooked. The Ramones, Rocket to Russia. One of the all-time great punk bands here. Groundbreaking, legendary American punk rock band. And, I mean, their debut album's great too, but, yeah, Rocket to Russia has Rockaway Beach, Sheena's a Punk Rocker, Teenage Lobotomy, Cretin Hop, bunch of Ramones classics on here. Great punk album here. You can't go wrong with any Ramones album, really, any early Ramones album. Yeah, a band we showed last week, but I wanted to show this album. This is NoFX, the Ribbed album. This is early NoFX here, one of their early albums. And, I mean, look how young they are. And this was before El Jefe was even in the band as the second guitar player. I think Fat Mike said they still had real jobs when they put this album out. They still had to work regular jobs. But great tracks on here. The Moron Brothers, Shower Days, Just the Flu, Where's My Slice, Together on the Sand. Great songs. Great band. Of course, the guitar player they had here was a little bit more of a metal guy, maybe. The solos are a little bit more heavy metal than the NoFX since. But still great. Another band I left off last time that I really liked, the Mr. T Experience. This album's called Revenge is Sweet and So Are You. I've got a bunch of their albums. This is one of my favorites though. This is a great album. These guys are, they just write clever songs. They always have good lyrics. Great songs on here. She's Coming Over Tonight, Love is Dead, Hell of Dumb, Who Needs Happiness, I'd Rather Have You. This is a great band to check out if you aren't familiar with them already. They've been around a super long time. This is, I know I used to listen to them in the early 90s, early to mid 90s, and they still, I think, put out records today. And another band I showed last week, but I wanted to show this just because, the Vandals. The album's called Live Fast Diarrhea. Great album. Songs like Let the Bad Times Roll, Now We Dance, I Have a Date, NIMBY, Ape Shall Never Kill Ape. Great songs. The reason I wanted to show off this record is because, of course, it's called Live Fast Diarrhea, and then the vinyl is pressed onto the Explosive Diarrhea splatter vinyl, which is the kind of thing that you'd expect from the Vandals. But I think it's pretty funny. It looks pretty cool when you're playing it, when you're spinning it on the turntable. But they don't really have any bad albums, the Vandals, and this is just another great one. Just thought you'd like to see the vinyl there. Here's another great punk band, Marky Ramone and the Intruders. This is a really good album here. You can see there it's produced by Lars from Rancid, and yeah, they're a great punk band here. There's a song called "Don't Blame Me," which is a duet with Joan Jett. Lottery's a great song. Peak Hole, Nobody Likes You, One Way Ride. There's a bunch of great songs on here. They're a really cool punk band. I like them a lot. That's a great album there. Here's another good punk band that I didn't mention last time, Guttermouth. What is this called? The Whole Enchilada. This is a cool album here. It's side one is live on red splatter vinyl, and then side two is studio recordings, and it's on green splatter vinyl. And the whole thing looks like a Mexican restaurant menu, which is cool. Side one's got a lot of their the live side has like "I'm Destroying the World" and "Hit Machine," "Perfect World." A lot of songs that you probably heard a bunch if you follow Guttermouth. And then side two is its own album, a studio album of newer stuff, and it's got great tracks on it too. But Guttermouth's just a cool band. Here's a band I grew up with and still like to this day, the Dwarves. This is the Thank Heaven for Little Girls album. This goes all the way back to when they were on Sub Pop, back in the early 90s. And I've got probably a dozen Dwarves albums. So this is, I think, the only one I can probably show on YouTube without getting banned. If you are familiar with the Dwarves, you know almost every one of their album covers has naked women on it. And they just put out a new album actually a couple of months ago called Concept Album, which is a really good album. And of course, naked woman on the cover of that one too. This one I can get away with showing because it's just a little girl. And but yeah, classic Dwarves here. This goes back to, like I said, the days when they were on Sub Pop, and they've been on a bunch of different labels since, and they put out tons of records since. But yeah, this is an early one that yeah, I grew up on this. That came out back whenever I was in high school, I think. Another great punk band, I think, from maybe the Chicago area, the Digits, the Hey Judester album. This is a little bit harder to find. It's on Touch and Go Records. I think this album came out in 1988. And this is a great punk album here. Back in the 90s, band I was in used to cover a bunch of songs off this. And we even got to play with them at one of the shows. And they're just a cool band. Songs on here like Max Wedge, Mama Had a Skull Baby, The Christmas Fish. There's a bunch of great songs on here. This is a really good band. If never heard of the Digits, give them a chance. They're a cool band. They were a cool band. I don't know what they're up to now. This is like I said, 1988. This is pretty old. I don't even know what they do now. And finally, I mean, I have to show the Clash, London Calling. Any talk about classic punk albums has to include London Calling. And of course, the Clash are a legendary punk rock band, but I hesitate to even call this a punk album. It's got, of course, punk songs on it, but there's just so much more to it. I mean, all the different styles that they cobbled together on this record. Like Wrong'em Boyo or Rudy Can't Fail. I don't even know what you would call those. They're like not really punk rock songs. It's more like reggae. There's the organ and the horns involved. And of course, Brand New Cadillac kind of sounds like rockabilly. And then you got your rock songs, your punk songs like Death or Glory. And Spanish Bombs is cool. Lost in the Supermarket. This is one of those albums that always shows up on like greatest albums of all time lists. And rightly so. It is definitely a classic. Definitely a punk rock classic. So anyway, there's just a few more of the punk rock albums in my collection. I might even have to make a third video. I got so many punk rock records, and I just like talking about them, like showing them off to you guys, and I hope that you guys like seeing them. Let me know what some of your favorite punk rock albums are. What kind of punk rock bands did you grow up listening to? And I always like to hear about it. And thanks for watching the videos, and subscribe if you want, and I'll be back next week with another video.